Hello and welcome back to Chopping It Up. We are back from our holiday break and let's get right into it. So, first off, just some announcement. There is not going to be a fantasy football segment anymore as the football season is coming to an end. Fantasy football is pretty much over. So, I'd like to thank JT for his role in having a great segment this year. Um, and we're going to be adding a new segment soon, so be on the lookout for that. But today, we're just looking at our NBA monologue. So, first note, big trade, our first big trade of the NBA season. The Raptors finally moved on from OG Anunoby. They traded Anunoby, Precious Achua, and Malachi Flynn to the New York Knicks for Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, and the Pistons' second-round pick, which is pretty much the 31st pick in the draft. I like this spot for both teams. I think the Raptors are desperately in need of change, and I feel like they don't really want to blow it up, although they are still shopping Pascal Siakam. I feel like Masai Ujiri wants to sit on what he has, and the team is below mid right now. So I believe this is a move where they want to just get into the playoffs. They don't have their own first-round pick this year. They traded it to the Spurs. So, yeah. I like this spot for the Knicks, too. They really didn't give up that much, honestly. I like Anunoby better than RJ Barrett. I think he's more consistent, and he's a much better defender. Quickly is going to win Sixth Man of the Year this year if he doesn't start with Toronto, which he did last night, so he probably won't. But I really like him as a player, too. And the 31st pick in the draft is great because it's pretty much just a cheap player. It's not a first-round contract, so although you don't have the 4 years of commitment to him, it's a very cheap deal, which you could get a very quality player out of. There's been a number of great second-round picks recently, and if you go back further, you got like the Jokic's and Draymond Greens of the world. We're both second-round picks, just some examples. So I definitely like this trade. New York beat the Timberwolves yesterday with Anunoby in the lineup, so I'm excited. Usually, Tom Thibodeau coach teams are great defensively, and adding this versatile weapon, I think also sets them up to add another superstar. So it's been a while since we've had the pod. So I've got my top 10 post-2023 NBA teams. So let's rattle them off quickly here. Celtics, number 1. They're 26-6, a flawless 16-0 at home. They are unstoppable in the Garden. I went and watched them a couple of weeks back face the Cavs, and the Cavs were in the game for a large percentage of it. But towards the end, it was just like no chance. Celtics were just too dominant. Number 2, I got the Timberwolves. Timberwolves are 24-8. They're looking like a good team, and the two bigs with Gobert and Towns, especially having Towns I don't think it would work if Towns wasn't a floor spacer, but he can shoot the heck out of the rock. And they got Naz Reid coming off the bench. Before the season, I was wary that their 3-center commitment, they had 3 centers on big contracts. Now I'm like, okay, this could work, especially you don't really need a true point guard. They do have Mike Conley, which is awesome. But as he gets old and he starts, receding, Edwards can definitely be a lead ball handler. He can play the point. 3, Nuggets, defending champs. Not much to say about them. They have lost Aaron Gordon to face lacerations. He was attacked by a dog. Number 4, the Thunder. Thunder are looking great, and they're still young, and they still have all the picks in the world. I think they're in the best spot of any team in the league right now. If they just want to say, okay, we're going to package some picks for this guy. One guy that I really want to see in an OKC jersey is Lauri Markkanen, and it's a very achievable trade. All they have to do is trade Vasilij Micic, Davis Bertans, and Josh Giddey, and however many first-round picks the Jazz want. I'm thinking like 4 first-round picks for Lauri Markkanen. That is a great deal, and I think both teams should do it. The Jazz, they're 15-19. They've been picking it up. They just demolished the Mavs. They're 7-3 in their last 10. This isn't like a playoff team in my eyes, and it's not really sustainable. I like some of the young pieces they have. They still have Jordan Clarkson who can be traded. But Markkanen, I think, on OKC would just be dynamic. And in that trade, you can also receive Kelly Olynyk or Jordan Clarkson, maybe if you threw more dollars in, like a Jalen Williams, a Kenrich Williams, someone like that. 5 and 6, I got the Sixers and the Bucks. I feel like these teams are kind of interchangeable. The Sixers have been on a little bit of a slide as Embiid has been out. But it just shows Maxey getting some runs as the number 1 by himself. And he did struggle in one of the games, but against Houston, he had a high-scoring outlook. So I'm excited. I think this could be the Sixers' year to come out of the East if they got frisky, or if the Celtics got matched up, let's say, against the Knicks in the first round. That might be a tough matchup. They have had pretty close matchups with the Knicks in the past couple of years. So it'll be interesting. 7, I have the Clippers. Shout out to everything this team has done. I originally was extremely skeptical and was a sheer doubter of this, but I've given up hating this new year, and I just watching James Harden in this offense, Westbrook off the bench, it's incredible. And Kawhi is looking good. He just came back from injury. He only missed 4 games. I feel like a couple years ago that would have been 8 games. Paul George is playing like an all-star too. 8, 9, 10, all frisky playoff contenders. Heat, Magic, Kings. I actually think the Magic are a better team than the Heat right now. However, I'm giving the Heat the benefit of the doubt because they've been injured, and they're much scarier come playoff time. Although these are 2 great defenses, I would not want to face Jimmy Butler. He's probably top 5 guys I wouldn't want to face. Now, I hear the salty Celtics fans talking about, oh, you look what he did Game 7. Look what he did as the series winded down. Look what he did in the finals. Well, I'd like to see what he did in the first 3 games, what he did against the Knicks, what he did against Milwaukee, because I think he was playing hurt, and he is one of the baddest men in the league right now. I would not want to play him in the playoffs. The Kings, too, De'Aaron Fox is on that level. He is a warrior in the fourth quarter. He's averaging 30 a game this season. That's a career high. He's just electric. He should be All-NBA this season. I just don't know how far this team can get with Sabonis. How about Detroit snapping their losing streak? I'm very excited for them. I think they're 3-30 now, so maybe they'll finish the year with 6 wins. But that might be an exaggeration. Grizzlies came back down to earth. They started 3-0 with Ja Morant, and now I think they're 3-3 since he came back. So where people, some people were like, oh, the Grizzlies, could they make a run? No, they're not going to make a run. It's going to be too many late game situations where there's no other options on the court. They're still kind of banged up. Rose and Kennard have been injured. This team is not making it to the playoffs. I did note the Jazz, as I mentioned earlier, they've been picking it up. So now, Danny Ainge, I remember Bill Simmons saying this one time. Danny Ainge can get a little weird with some of his trades. So he might make a move to go into contention. They have all their picks, and they have Cleveland's picks and Minnesota's picks, which might not be that valuable right now. Hear me out. What if Utah went all in for a big star? Or maybe not a big star, but let's say they traded Clarkson and Simone Fontecchio and a couple firsts for Mikal Bridges. Or, maybe a point guard becomes available. This team could be very interesting down the stretch. I think they already have kind of an identity, and I really like their head coach. So I'm intrigued by the Jazz, to say the least. And listen, let's just say a good young guard comes along. I know I wanted them to trade for Dame personally, and he's lighting it up in Milwaukee right now. But just another guard that comes out. One's not coming to mind right now. Let's say in this offseason, Luka requests a trade now. Hey now, Luka on this Jazz team would be pretty scary. I feel like he hasn't had a legit number 2 as good as Markkanen. No offense to Kyrie Irving. He's great in his own respect, but I really like what Lori has been putting down this season. Last note, 2 guys, one old, one new, that I just got to shout out. Actually, 2 old. LeBron James, happy birthday, 39 years old. No, he's not listening to this, but happy birthday to the king. He got beat on his birthday by the refs, ruling that he shot a 2 instead of a 3. It was very clearly a 3 upon review. So, yeah, sorry for that one, Brom, but yeah, MVP looks right now. Joel Embiid is playing out of his mind. I know he's missed some games against good teams, Man, this guy is electric, and I like one thing I just got to point out is I love that he's becoming a passer now. I feel like he's tired of getting beat on by, Jokic is better than him. I think he wants to be better than Jokic, and I like seeing that drive out of a guy who has had no real playoff success. I love to see that. Finally, Chet for Rookie of the Year. I feel like this shouldn't even be a question at this point. The Thunder are contending. Obviously, if Wembanyama had a real point guard, he would be lighting it up more than he is. But Chet is just so incredible in this offense. He's a sniper. He can shoot threes. He can shoot middies. He can make tough finishes at the basket. And his defense is otherworldly. So shout out Chet, Embiid, LeBron. That's it for today's episode, and we will catch you on the next episode later this week.